yesterday afternoon, and there was a message on my phone from our retired deacon, Meredith Peck, who agreed, a month and a half or so ago, to preach on this day, the second Sunday of Easter, informing me that she had tested positive not once but twice for COVID-19. And so obviously would not be here today to preach to all of you, which was disappointing. This Sunday's gospel lesson is always the same. So I have preached on it many times, including maybe the second straw, and not a term I especially favor, but, low in terms of church attendance, or maybe in terms of expectations of the preacher. Anyway. And I also, as I was reflecting on what I would say, I felt grateful, in fact, that I had been able to go through this entire week without thinking about what I was going to say today. So in a sense, I did get a week off from preaching, although I was laboring under a misconception. And that is the same for Thomas. In our gospel lesson today, he spends an entire week laboring under a misconception that because he was not there on the night of the resurrection, when the apostles came back together for the first time, since they had scattered to their various hiding holes the night that the crowd, him in their midst, speaking peace to them, sending them in the power of the Holy Spirit that he breathed upon them, to go as he had been sent, to proclaim God's power of forgiveness, to be a voice and a witness to the reconciling love of God in the world. And as a sign to them of his own forgiveness to them, his own willingness to be reconciled to them in spite of their having abandoned him in his hour of need, he showed them the marks of the wounds in his body, of guilt and condemnation, but to show them, I am the same person that you knew before. I am the Jesus who you followed from Galilee, who called you to be my disciples, who suffered on the cross so that I alone would die for the sins of humanity. I am now risen as a life-giving, forgiving, healing, and empowering, spirit-gifting presence among you. But Thomas was not there. And so for a whole week, Thomas went around thinking that because he had not been there, it wasn't true. And for that reason, Thomas is always for us a particular touchstone for Christ's resurrection. right up there with Mary Magdalene and Peter. We always associate Christ's resurrection with Thomas, because we also are prone to go around under the misconception that because we were not there, it didn't happen. As if because we did not witness with our own eyes the risen Lord coming into our midst, showing us the marks of his wounds, that he does not live. That a long time ago, and doesn't have much to do with us here today, because he is not present, just as we were not present then. And so Thomas has this, kind of somewhat unsavory reputation for skepticism and for a sort of selfishness of like pouting, like, if I can't see it for myself, then I... There's another side to Thomas. Thomas is also the apostle who has such desire, such a powerful desire and longing to know the truth of Christ's resurrection, that he is unwilling to just take it on someone else's word, someone else's secondhand, warmed over testimony. No, he desires with a great longing to experience the risen Christ for himself. And he has the courage to ask. He asks, even demands, to touch the wounds with his own fingers, to place his own hand in the side of Christ where the spear pierced his rib cage. He asks, and Jesus grants his request and says to Thomas, "Come, see, touch my wounds." And so it is that the wounds, the wounded body of the crucified, now risen again, becomes for Thomas and for the places in ourselves and in others where Christ is wounded, where people believe that he has not risen from the dead, that death has the last word for all of us, and there is no resurrection. The places in us and in others where we believe that the demonic rulers of the world are invincible, and in others where we believe that there are some sins that cannot be. The places in ourselves and in others where we believe that there can never be peace. When we come close to those places in ourselves and in others, close enough to touch them, to touch the wounds of the risen Christ, the crucified and risen, of encounter with the living God. The place where we know that everything that Jesus taught us about true blessedness and true happiness, what is of real value in this life. And everything that he had to say about the one he called Father, all of it is true. Where there is suffering,